I'm Sisto Abeyta, here with my partner, Eddie Ableser. We're both excited about starting this podcast, talking about things, all politics, all across the West. CACTUS CROSSFIRE comes from a place of us wanting to help just the normal day Joe understand what's happening around the world, and it's specifically here in the Southwest.
It sort of ties back to our roots. I mean, think about it, Sisto. The days of meaningful discourse has truly taken a step back. I mean, some of the stuff we'll talk about, people are terrified about getting into politics, it seems like, across the nation. I think, you know what? We're a little bit prickly, so we got the cactus in us. We're both Southwest boys. We got the cactus in us, and so let's get into it, right? Cactus Crossfire, here we come.
Welcome to Cactus Crossfire, your go-to for hot takes and prickly debates.
Welcome in. It's another exciting edition of Cactus Crossfire. I'm one of your hosts, Sisto Abeyta, and with me, as always, is my good friend Eddie. Eddie, where are you at?
Oh, great to see you, my brother. I am in the state of Utah.
You take the man out of the
Friend, my comrade, my prickly brother at Ableser.
Funny, we brought out the prickly tagline on what we do, and folks are like, Eddie, you're not prickly. And I'm like, man, you don't know me well enough. Come on. Sisto, we are a bunch of prickly bunch. And changing narrative in the Democrat Party is complex, right? And it should be the Big Ten.
One of the reasons why Eddie and I, when we first started talking about coming on and doing a podcast and being talking heads about policy and politics, was so that we could bring a discourse to the conversation that we hadn't been seeing in a long time, that was based in opinions that were differing, that at the same time were respectful of one another and inviting of differences of opinion.
The work that you and I do, trying to talk about the issues in a much more pronounced avenue, you and I debating facts back and forth, but doing it with reasonability and friendship and respect.
Eddie, a lot of folks who have been watching this show have been wondering, who are these two guys? Where do they come from? What is their Democratic journey? How did they get into the Democratic Party, and how we got activated to become the handsome Democratic activists that we are right now.
Let's be clear, Sisto, former college Republican at Arizona State University, a very conservative state, a very conservative district. A lot of us, were angry. Donald Rumsfeld and then George Bush, president, sort of creating a narrative around what happened to Pat Tillman, sort of tarnishes the narrative of this hero status of Pat Tillman. And I remember at that moment, the intensity of anger I felt, this just doesn't sit right with me. And I decided to switch my party registration from Republican to Democrat. I'm going to join the Democratic Party.
I was a young Democrat from New Mexico. You were a young Democrat from Nevada. And you were kind of the precursor for all of us because, we kept looking up and, wow, there's this young guy who got elected at 20-something years old. How'd he get there? And we saw so many other people like you come after you.
I'm glad you bring this up because truth be told, it wasn't that I was this inflamed, passionate liberal that wanted to, drench myself in the party cloth. I was wanting to make a change. I was not accepted, Sisto. Day one, I remember walking into the Democratic Party headquarters, not accepted. I had multiple people within the district push back on me because I was very religious in my approach to policy, in my volunteerism, in my advocacy. They did not want religion infused into the social conversation. I was always an outsider, and that outsider status certainly is reflected today. One of the things that we're both dealing with in the political circles that we operate in is this notion of validity or purism that exists within the party. You wanted to run for office. You wanted to get involved. There was a lot of gatekeeping that happens out in New Mexico as well.
Well, I mean, for me, it's different. I didn't grow up in the big city of Albuquerque, but it was in rural New Mexico, which has made me kind of weird within the party because, the folks in the party are like, you don't look like what we think our Democratic leaders should look like. You don't talk. I remember when I ran for Young Democrats president the first time, folks actually told me I lost the first time and they said, Sisto, why don't you go and learn how the party works? Because right now you're a little rough around the edges. And I didn't understand what that meant. What other people explained to me that meant was you're not one of these elitists. You don't have this pedigree that we're looking for. So in that drove me to say, okay, well, I know a heck of a lot more people who look like me in the Democratic Party that are outside of this room. Why don't I bring them all together and start building a coalition? And that's what I did. I built a coalition. I remember calling former Congressman Bill Richardson and saying to him, I'm freaked out because, I grew up here and I'm being told that I can't be a leader in my party being from here. And I'm tying this to Bill Richardson, and he's saying, no. You have a place at the table. I'm going to help you, and I'm going to talk to you, and we'll work together, and we'll get you through this.
It is all sorts of purity tests from every single bizarre policy isolated circle.
You're right. There were these litmus tests for yourself and me, but in different ways. I'm constantly amazed how on this show, folks that I talk to about the show and comment about the show for years and years and years in New Mexico politics, I was the most moderate Democrat in the state, right? I'm one of the moderate Democrats. And it's funny through this show, people are saying, oh, wow, Sisto, you really are progressive.
Because you got me to compare yourself to.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, compared to you, yeah, I'm more progressive. But at the end of the day, I'm not changing who I am on this show. I haven't changed who I am as a Democrat. We both have come up through the party and we have developed a sense of who we are. People in the party have developed an idea of who you and I are. But it's through this format that we're going to be able to show people really who we are and have our own ideas actually expressed in a way that hopefully through time, people are going to get to learn it. Me and Eddie are the first two people to tell you we don't have all the answers. We're not going to claim we have all the answers. We're just going to look at the information that's presented to us, give you guys a little bit more insight. Hope that you guys do a little bit more research on your own and that you grow a little bit from this process, because this is not something that we're going to be able to fix through one podcast. It's going to be multiple ones over time for us to engage folks in those conversations.
Cactus Crossfire, your go-to for hot takes and prickly debates.